Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the MFW podcast. It's episode number 30, so a little bit of a landmark for us four. I'm Freddie Humphrey Wakefield, if you didn't know already. I'm joined by Henry Miller, Jack Wright, and Will Grant. All four of us are back in town, and we're ready for some weekly nonsense to bring you, whether you're watching on YouTube or you're listening on Spotify. Sorry, let me get my words out. But anyway, before we dive into the Norwich news over the last few days and the upcoming week, how have the three of you been and what's been going on in your personal lives? Because that's a lot more important than 11 blokes kicking a ball about.
Yeah, so I've been really good, thank you. I was privileged to go to the club's mental health awareness evening on Thursday night. So it was organised by the Norwich City Fans Social Hub, and there was a panel with Emiliano Marcondes and with Matt Miller. So Matt Miller is the club's senior psychologist, and they both gave me really good interviews. And yeah, it was played out on the BBC yesterday. So if you want to listen to my chat with Emmy and with Matt Miller, just go to BBC Sounds and yeah, get yesterday's show up. But it was really insightful. Obviously, we know the struggles that Emmy Marcondes has had. In the summer, really. Hence why he probably didn't have a club until October when Norwich City came calling, and it was just really great for him to open up to me. So yeah, was really privileged to be involved in that and get two really good interviews.
Yeah, I've had better weeks. I've been ill quite a lot this week, so hasn't been too great. And then obviously we had the absolutely terrific, superb shot on target displays, if I must say, in inverted commas there. So yeah, overall it hasn't been too good for me, but finally a really good win on the board against Swansea, and very very happy about that. But I'm still trying to fight off this horrible cold.
Yeah, I tried to make waffles just before this podcast, and my waffle maker decided to trip all of the electrics in my house. So I had a power cut and no waffles. So ask me how I am. I'm absolutely devastated. But I'll tell you who was really electrically charged and really working well and really. Functional was Norwich City at home against Swansea. Yeah, I don't know how I did a waffle maker and Norwich pun, but there we go.
Yeah, well, you're a man who compared spaghetti bolognese to toast, so I'm hardly surprised by that. But no, as already mentioned just there, Norwich tonked Swansea by 5 goals to 1, which is hilarious given that the two matches prior they didn't have a single shot on target. I believe they had 7 in this game and they scored 5. So you take that any day of the week. But it's another sort of peak in a roller coaster of a season where Norwich are just so consistently inconsistent. I think that's now 10 wins, 10 losses, and 9 draws from the 29 they've played. So they're still on course to be perfectly smack bang in the middle come the end of the season, whether they win, draw, and lose the exact amount of games. Anyone who's a stats nerd, let me know if that's ever happened before, because that's something you don't see every day. It's quite aesthetically pleasing, and that performance was aesthetically pleasing, especially when you could factor in there was quite a few major mistakes at the back for Swansea, but considering Norwich do that all the time, it's quite nice to actually be on the other end of it. But in terms of overall assessments, because all three of you were actually able to catch the game and I wasn't, what's the overall sort of assessment of that game and what went on what was actually a really gorgeous Carrow Road afternoon?
I think the thing that sticks out first and foremost is just how much of a difference Josh Sargent being fit and starting football matches makes for the club. And we were even talking about it on Radio Norfolk yesterday. It's maybe even got another dimension out of Antti Sienats as well, because when he came on, he was absolutely brilliant. He was still charging down for loose balls in the 95th, 96th minute, and of course got his goal as well, which solely came just from him sort of badgering down the keeper really, and making sure that no loose ball went astray. So I think with Josh Sargent being back and fit and firing on all cylinders, it makes such a huge difference for Norwich. And hopefully when we get more players back, and where Borja Sainz is back from his suspension as well, and the new guy from Slavia Prague, when he is eligible to play, then hopefully with those three we can properly make another playoff charge, sort of similar to last season. But I think it will be interesting as well, because with how Lewis Dobbin played and Oscar Schwartau played yesterday, it really does give Johannes Hoftorp a headache when it comes to selection, when all the players are fit. Like we were saying, our marquee signing in Matej Jurasek, does he slot straight into the team, or does Dobbin keep his place when he's eligible? Because Lewis Dobbin was one of the standout performers yesterday. He got his goal and was really a threat on the wing for Norwich. So and the first goal just comes from a bit of individual brilliance from Oscar Schwartau as well, to drive the ball up the pitch in the way he did, and then lay it off to Marcondes that then allowed Josh Sargent to score. So I think Norwich can now really go up another level really, and we've got probably the two toughest games of our league season out of the way in the space of a week, which I think in hindsight we'll look back on and go, okay, yeah, it's good that we've had them in the same week, because now we can just focus on getting the points against the teams around us.
Yeah, I would say a 5-1 was a fair scoreline across the game. I think Swansea just purely imploded actually towards the end of the second half. There were so many individual errors from Swansea, and I think when you've got the likes of Josh Sargent, and obviously I thought Anthony Senach was fantastic when he came on. I've been very, very underwhelmed by Anthony Senach recently, but I think that game against Swansea just reminded me, and maybe even a few other fans as well, about what he can do. Obviously, I've got a picture in my head if Sargent and Sainz are going to leave Norwich next season. If it feels like Anthony Senach has to step up, because if you take away Nunes from that side, you haven't really got all that quality when you have no Sargent, Sainz, and obviously Nunes. So I think next year's going to be big for Anthony Senach, and I think that game just gave us a real good sample size of what we can actually expect from him, because I thought he was very, very good on the ball when he came on, made so much good runs in behind, and just very proactive, really. And I feel like first half Norwich weren't good at all, in my opinion. I thought they were quite lazy to an extent. There wasn't too much off the ball movement at all, and that just meant the game was quite flat. There was so many scenarios during the game where I felt, especially where Sargent picked up the ball and there was just no one there to really try and make a run for him. And ultimately, I felt that probably contributed to quite a flat first half overall. I did like Oscar Schwartau's performance. Like Henry said, I think probably Oscar Schwartau was maybe Norwich's best player on the pitch. And I actually think as well, that was probably his best game in the Norwich shirt as well. So impressed him. And I think he played a game also against Watford early in the season. And he also played midfield in that game. And I thought both games now when he's played in midfield, he's looked very, very good. And the fact that he's only 18 is just crazy to think, really. So very, very happy with how Schwartau played. But overall, I thought Swansea imploded more than Norwich were that good. But I do agree, Sargent is just a point of difference at times. Those two finishes are just elite, especially the second one. Having a strike at its level that can do that and find it back in the net so consistently is an absolutely huge asset, because there isn't too many strikers in this league who can do that. So over the moon for Sargent and for Norwich after quite a tough week.
How polarising is this football club at the moment? Going from absolutely abysmal performances where we did not lay a glove on Sheffield United or Leeds, to then completely smashing Swansea. I agree with Will that the first half was very cagey and it smacked of a team that was really feeling the pressure of kind of not having a shot on target in 2 games. And I think both teams kind of like dipped their toe and kind of, but didn't really want to get going. And there was, it felt like a lot of kind of lack of confidence. Dobbin, I think, in the first half had some very shaky moments, but I think I think the goals of Sargent just sort of lifted everyone really, and I think everyone bounced off of that. In the game, early on he had 2 very good chances that he shot wide, but not that far, and you're kind of thinking, oh, he's warming up. He's and then again in the second half, the second goal, it was pretty much a carbon copy of what he'd tried twice before. I think 5-1 really kind of, if you'd have said that would be the score at half time, I really wouldn't have believed it at all. I really rated the halftime changes, taking off, I think it was Hernandez for Cernats, and I think it was Fisher for Stacey. Very bold call, but it really worked. And even when Swansea equalised, you do kind of think, well, we'll probably get a goal back. Henry, where have you gone?
Yeah, disappeared. For the Spotify listeners who can't see it, usually we have the 4 of us in a video. Henry has now completely disappeared. I think it maybe his signal has dropped. So still same suspect Wi-Fi every single one. We cannot.
No.
We're back.
But he's back. Henry's back in the scene. His picture
He's back.
is back.
Just like Swansea's goal. Didn't last long, and he's back.
No.
That was good. I liked that. You're clever. Good bit of quick thinking. There you have it. No, we do sometimes have brains. No, we are all right. But no, you all mentioned there, of course, the enormity of having Josh Sargent back in the starting 11 after being out with injury for so long. He only had sort of limited minutes against Leeds and Sheffield United in the Yorkshire Horror Show. But no, he's back into the team. He scores 2 goals. He gets awarded man of the match. But you mentioned there, Henry, of other players who you felt had really good performances. Will did as well. There was Oscar Svartau, Ansi Cernats, Emiliano Marcondes, maybe even Lewis Dobbin earning some more credit after he scored his first goal in 20 championship appearances this season. But Sargent awarded man of the match. Do you feel as if maybe someone else could have got it, or do you think Sargent being awarded the award was fair, or do you think Cernats, with his amazing 45-minute cameo of 2 assists and a goal, Marcondes with a goal and an assist, Svartau just looking scarily talented for a kid who's only 18 and in his first full season of English football, do you think anyone else deserved the champagne bottle other than the American R9, or did he deserve that himself?
Freddie, I think it's one of those cases where 5 or 6 players could have won the Player of the Match award, and all of the Norwich City fans would have no complaints. I think basically all of the front line were so good and were so on it that that anyone could have realistically won it, and Norwich City fans couldn't have made an argument against that. I'm inclined to agree with Will and say that Oscar Schwartau was probably our best player on the pitch, and as well the fact that he is only a teenager and he's dropping performances like that in such a competitive league is outrageous. But Sargent, of course, he deserves it. 2 goals, should have had 4 goals, and ironically, they probably all should have been the exact same goal because he did love just dragging his shot to the other end of the goal and trying to find the back of the net that way. But I think Sargent getting the award, you can't really have many complaints about that.
Yeah, I think it's fair, but I think I would have gone for Schwartau actually. There's actually a period during the game where I think it was actually for our first goal, and Carrow Road was just so flat, and then Schwartau goes on an absolutely fantastic run. and he almost ignited Norwich's afternoon. Really, just he's got such great energy and legs. Can power through midfields, and at a very young age as well. I think it's fantastic. Obviously, Sargent will get the headlines rightly, but I definitely think although Schwartau was good, Sargent was good. I'm very interested to hear you include McConnors in that debate there as well, Freddie, because I actually thought McConnors in the first half probably had one of his worst games for the club almost. He just looked very, very tired and fatigued, and I just thought like that wasn't as good as ME can be. Obviously, second half he obviously really improved and stood up a gear, but I generally do think McConnors has had better games for us. But I also going to talk about Lucien Mahovo as well. 19 years of age, comes in into the team after Ben Crescene had quite a poor 2 games, I must admit. And I think although Crescene has been good for Norwich across the season, I felt due to Norwich's lack of creativity and attacking output in the last 2 games, I thought having Lucien's technical quality is exactly what Norwich needed. Because he just gives you such great precision from deep areas. He can find a pass fantastically. But also as well, I thought Swansea do like to play quite wide, and they like to put both of their wide players on the byline. And I think that probably tested Mahovo's ability to kind of defend, really, because although on a 21 football, there are quite a lot of direct wingers as well. It's such a big, obviously, upgraded level. So very, very happy with Lucien. Thought he was great. And but yeah, I think Oscar Schwartau for me would probably be my man of the match.
And although we didn't get it on Saturday, what a name Mahovo is for Canary Call as well.
Oh, I love that Mahovo boy, Lucien Mahovo. I think Mahovo, he's all right. Mahova, Henry Hoover.
Who? Mahovo. Oh, my Hoover. Oh, that's at home. That's in the cupboard, that is. Yes. Well, you know what's so funny about this Josh Sargent performance is that he's not even fully fit yet. He's not even ready yet. Oh, and he looks just miles better than anyone we've tried to shoehorn up front. He just gets it. Like he just in the right position. He's just strong and quick. Gets his shot away. He's just fantastic. Obviously, Will, you said that Marcondes had a very poor match. According to FotMob, he was the highest rated player.
What?
A goal and an assist. Obviously, an absolute worldie of a goal. I don't know what the XG of that is. I think the XG was 0.98, someone said, which I don't know how on earth that 0.2 margin can exist. But he did all right. But I think there was one player who just was absolutely outstanding, and that was Cernats for me. I think, obviously, setting up Sargent for the second, what you've really got to remember about the third goal is he creates the space for Dobbin. He drags the defenders away, and Dobbin just drifts just creates a chance for himself. There was a point where Vigouroux, the goalkeeper, nearly passed it into the back of his own net, and that's because of Cernats pressuring him. Obviously, winning the crossbar challenge in days gone by, he'd be on holiday to Tampa, wouldn't he? Or something, I don't know, or won a club shop voucher or something. But yeah, I think again, he's a player who seemingly performs really well against lesser opposition, but against tougher opposition goes completely anonymous. And I think that's very reflective of Norwich this season. And I think that was my thoughts before the Leeds and the Sheffield United game, was that I really wanted Norwich to actually show their cojones against a big boy, right? We proved that we can be better than teams that we are better than, right? That's pretty obvious. We've matched teams at times. Burnley, it was a tight game. Obviously got a draw against Leeds and Sheffield United at home. But never really have we kind of done a sort of underdog performance where we've really... Hofball has really outfoxed one of the big boys. And I think it's all very well for us to stick 5 beyond Swansea, 6 beyond Plymouth, and kind of, flex our muscles. You've got to remember the amount of money that we have spent in comparison to all the rest of the championship. Me saying that Cernats was a fantastic player. Yes, he was about, 8 million, 9 million pounds. It's the same narrative we've been kind of peddling all year. What I would really now like to see is when we come up against tougher teams, for us to actually show up and go beyond our means, because again, like we have the infrastructure that's much vaster and much broader than any other team in the championship. I think it is, I think that's what is missing with Hofball. I might have gone off tangent slightly, but Cernats was my man of the match.
No, well, there you have it. Thank you. We got there in the end. So, yeah, but it's a few different players getting it there. Who do you think it was? Let us know in the comments section, or we may even post this online, and then you can tell us on there if you really fancy. As we'll try and get everyone a little bit more involved, so you don't have to sit here for an hour, maybe once or twice a week, and just listen to us babble and then maybe, I don't know, stick it on in the background while you make dinner or something. But we'll move on. We'll keep on topic. You mentioned there, Jack, about how Norwich have, away from home, they're a bit of a liability. They're a little bit messy at times. Well, it's 36 goals scored now at Carrow Road, which is extremely impressive. I want to say it's nearly 20 more than Burnley, who you mentioned there about teams that Norwich maybe, when they're the underdog, haven't exactly put up much of a fight. But that's an amazing goal-scoring record at home. But it's made a little bit more frustrating at the fact that Norwich are still, they always have been, at the back they are leaky. They're a bit of a liability defensively at times. But even away from home as well, it's still just, you have to go back to the prior two matches up in Yorkshire and you compare it to this home game. I think that's the perfect example of how contrasting the form is when Norwich are on the road as opposed to when they play at home. Why is it, even after the two games in Yorkshire as well, can anyone try and pinpoint as to why this team are just so significantly better and free-flowing when they're in front of a home crowd? Because it still is a bit of a mystery to some. So do any of you, maybe, have you spotted the answer that maybe no one else knows?
It's certainly bizarre, isn't it? It just reeks of a team who are really happy in a set routine, and that is waking up every day, going for breakfast, maybe a spot of training, and then heading to Carrow Road. And I don't know why our fortunes aren't as good this season away from home. But what you were saying there as well, Freddie, about our defensive record. Every Norwich City team I can remember has had a leaky defence. I think it's like Norwich's DNA. The fact that we have a leaky defence. Even when we were winning league titles, the only real season that I can remember where we didn't really concede that many was probably the lockdown season in 2020, 2021. But people forget, but in 2018-19, when we won the championship, we were winning games 3-2, 4-3, so although they're the games that stick long in the memory, like the Millwall game, like the Nottingham Forest game, all from those seasons, we still had a leaky defence, and it was the same last season when we got into the playoffs. So I just think it's in Norwich's DNA really to no matter how good the defenders are, we still can't seem to get it to click and maybe grind out games over the course of a season. But no, I think the home form is good and something to be admired. But if we just were even slightly better away, then we would soar up the league table.
Yeah, I think during the game against Leeds and Sheffield United, I don't think the narrative to an extent comes back to maybe home crowd, obviously for Leeds and Sheffield United. It just feels like to me it comes down to ball progression. It feels like at home Norwich are very confident and they're very happy to try and be more expansive, but it feels like whenever we go away from home, the feeling is that for me anyway, the team want to try and gain control of the game, and I think the next step in order for Norwich to really get points away from home is they've got to be more brave on the ball. I think it's all well and good having good control in the game, and I think against Leeds and maybe more against Sheffield United, there were some nice moments on the ball where Norwich tried to unlock their defence, but it just feels like to me the players haven't really got enough courage to play those real intricate passes through the lines often enough. Really, it feels like teams are very happy to play against us when we're away because we're not overly creative. Yeah, I just think if you have to also look at the group as well, we've got about 6 first-team midfielders out. This is obviously JHG's first season as well, and our team is so young. And I just think it's where we're at. Although, as well with that, confidence is a huge thing as well. But I just don't think the players are at their peak yet, where they feel like they can go to these big grounds and really try and play their football more on the attacking thread. They've showcased their quality to be very, very brave and very, very astute and very, very clean in the defensive thirds. No doubt about that. I've been very impressed with that, but it just feels like maybe it's a bit of a mentality just to be a bit braver on the ball. I think that is my main conclusion about that, but I think the game against Watford could be a good game for us actually, because Watford are in some quite poor form. Obviously, I don't know if Cleverley's still going to be there. There seems to be so much speculation around his job at the minute as well. So I just think it basically Norwich needs to be a bit more braver on the ball in the middle third, because they've got the quality to do so. We've seen how good McConnors is at driving through space and playing very, very acute passes to the forward men. It just needs to be a bit more brave, I think, from Norwich.
Yeah, I mean, in all the seasons that we won titles and were kind of shaky defensively, I don't think it ever really bothered us fans and really the players, because if we conceded one, it was just a case of, oh, it's fine, we'll just give it to Timu and Emmy and they'll do something weird and brilliant. And exactly the same, with the lockdown season, especially Emmy, it was just like, oh no, we've conceded from a corner, let's just pass the ball out to the right and cross our fingers. If we all of a sudden had a team that was really kind of defensively good, I think we wouldn't like it. I think we'd find it boring. I think we secretly like the jeopardy. I think in terms of this season specifically, obviously we've said it many times before that Gunn's saving statistics haven't been ideal. And yeah, I'm not saying that we need to replace him. Perhaps we do. Or, he just needs to up his game slightly in terms of, like we've always been sort of nattering on, all of the defenders this season have generally been, good performers. So it really is quite a frustrating enigma as to why it just won't work. I think set pieces, again, whenever we get a set piece, that's always a bit of a worry just in terms of conceding from it. But I think sort of it's just getting to the point where we need the kind of star players back. We need a Signs. We need a fully fit Sargent. And I think we need to also look into a long-term Doyle replacement, whether that is Cordoba, because obviously he's not going to be here next season, is Callum Doyle. But yeah, I think if we were really defensively good, I think Carrow Road would be really bored.
No, maybe they would be, or maybe, well, I don't know. No, it's a very interesting point to raise. But there's another question people can answer in the comments. If Norwich had a good defence, would you be bored, or would you actually be happy? Would you be glad that Norwich, out of nowhere, decided to stop conceding really silly goals, or just conceding goals in general? Be like Burnley, concede less than 10 in a sit so far in the season, and just win every game 1-0. You know, it's always a big thing in football, isn't it? Would you rather win 1-0 every week and play sort of dross football, or would you be entertained every single week and maybe draw 6-6, maybe win 7-8 or something like that? No, I have no idea. No, but that's for the viewers to decide as well as us. But we'll go on to the month of February. It's fast approaching, and Norwich, they have games fast approaching, and they look tasty, I think would be the word I'd use for it. They'll have Mate Jurasek available for selection after the ESC slots were all taken up due to the new rules after Brexit came into play in the Football League. Jorge Sainz will be back after his 6-match suspension for spitting at an opponent. But for Norwich, they begin the month away at Watford. They then host Derby and Preston North End at Carrow Road before going to the KCOM Stadium to play Hull City away. And then their final game of the shortest month of the year, they host Stoke City. So it's, what is that, five games in the month of February? So 15 points up for grabs. How many do you think we'll get? Because in some people's viewpoints, maybe there's a case to get maximum points, but football's never really that easy. So what do you make of it? How many points do you all think Norwich can get from those next 5 matches in February?
Yeah, so you've just reeled off all of those teams there that we are playing next month. And the only real banana skin that jumps out is Watford. We've had a very hit and miss record against Watford, it seems. It seems that both teams are allergic with drawing against each other as well. So you're basically guaranteed a winner whenever the two sides meet. And I think Will mentioned the Tom Cleverley stuff at the minute. It's so uncertain and it shouldn't be, because to get that Watford team up the table and competing for a playoff spot, I think is brilliant. I know Jack predicted Watford to finish rock bottom of the Championship this season. So the fact that they're in the playoff conversation is definitely something they can be proud of. So, I think that game will be tough. But at Carrow Road, we have more than enough to get over the line in that game. And then Derby and Preston. For me, I think Derby are now emerging as a team who, despite their good start to the season, do look like they'll probably return to League One. They look the most likely out of the 3 who have come up, I think now, in my opinion, who will probably get relegated. And Preston North End, I don't want to offend any Preston North End fans, but they do feel a bit like a nothing team. You know that they're a mid-table side who, at home, you'll always fancy yourself against. And I'm not just talking about Norwich. A lot of Championship teams will feel the same when it comes to playing Preston. So those should be 6 points from 6 in those games. And then I think you also said we're playing Stoke as well. And we all know how topsy-turvy Stoke can be in the Championship. So, out of the 15, I'm probably looking at 13, I'd say. Maybe a draw against Watford and then a win against all the other sides.
Wow, I wish I could follow up that confidence from you, Henry, there. But I think the games against Watford, like you said, Henry, but even Hull as well, I'm really liking what Ruben Sellers is doing at Hull. Obviously, he did a great job against. He did a great job for Reading during the first half of the season. He seems to finally have got some more players in the building that align into his style of play. I think he's a very, very good coach, and I can kind of see that game going where Norwich might actually dominate the ball, but Hull might just be a very combative side and just maybe edge it past us. That's my thought process is with that one. And the Watford game, Watford are a very, very good counter-attacking side. And if you look at our defenders right now in Shane Duffy, Callum Doyle, both of those centre-halves are quite slow. So I do worry about that matchup, especially due to Watford's really, really good, quick, agile attackers. So that is what I do worry about with that one. But that game for me does scream of having quite a lot of goals in it. So hopefully that is exciting. But I think the games against Derby, Derby win, I think, will probably be very likely. I think Derby are quite a poor side on the road. They don't really seem to show much innovation, really, about how they're going to change their style of play. It feels very, very direct, and there isn't really much for plan B. And I'm going to go for maybe 7 points, because I just think Preston and Stoke are two very quite honest sides, and I think we'll either win against Derby and Stoke, for example, and maybe draw against Preston. But I'm not too confident about those league games away at Watford and Hull. I think both of those sides are teams that I think that that Norwich don't suit to an extent. I think both of those sides could try, probably will try and expose us, especially with Watford's real pace on their flanks and even through the centre as well. So I think the two away games, although I think Norwich should be going there wanting to win, I'm not too sure whether we will.
I love this game. I love when we look at fixtures and we think, oh, we could win that, or we could win that, we can win that. Do you remember last time we did that when we went QPR away and Portsmouth away? Oh, that was fun, wasn't it? Yeah. It's the championship, isn't it? I mean, all the factors are in our favour, right? These are all teams that are, as mentioned, well below us, and we've proved that we can outmuscle teams that are our lessers. I mean, obviously, if any Derby, Hull, Stoke, whatever fans want to contest that they're bigger clubs than Norwich, maybe, but not right now. I think obviously the home games, you're looking at situations where we could again score 4 or 5 or 6. And then the away games, we could lose pretty heavily and not have a shot on target. Those things are all very likely. Obviously, Hull's result at Sheffield United, I think it was on Friday, that wasn't that doesn't bode well, because it proves that they're, like Will said, sort of slowly getting a little bit better. How many points will we get? I'm going to go with 15. I think I think the full lot, I think it'd just be really jokes, wouldn't it? I mean, we saw it under Wagner last season, where Sargent came back after New Year's. We just performed really well, although didn't win that many away from home. But we still went on a nice little run. And I don't want to say that 6th place is looking very tasty. But 15 out of 15, maybe. It's probably not, but who knows? I can dream.
What I find weird as well is why are going back to the next game that we've got. Why are Norwich and Watford almost like Siamese twins? They're literally conjoined at the hip. Like, we get relegated from the Premier League in 2020. We both then go up together. We both then come down together. And then we both have average seasons. The only anomaly you could make is last season, where we get playoffs and they don't. It's just bizarre how with basically following exactly the same trajectory as Watford, and we're both exactly the same stages, I guess, of sort of like this era, so to speak. And I think the only two teams that I can think of who are similar at the minute are probably Leicester and Southampton, here in the fact that they both went down, both come up, and then seemingly will probably both come down this season. And I don't get sort of why it's like that, really. I think that's a bit strange. But next season as well, it should be looking to move clear of Watford, and if we can do that, then I think we'll have a good season.
But what you've got to remember is that Watford are abundantly wealthy and have Udinese giving them all the players that they want. We're not abundantly wealthy. Well, we're getting there. But I always think if there's any club that's kind of matching Norwich in terms of their league performance and general results, but they are much richer, that is embarrassing, because we are going beyond our means. If you've got lots of money, you should be up in the Premier League, not bothering with the Championship. So, yes, Watford, I don't like you. If that wasn't abundantly clear, I don't like Watford. I don't know why. I've never been there. I don't think I ever will go there. I don't think I'll be allowed in.
No, they also play in yellow, so they couldn't get any more similar if they tried. They just went for yellow and black rather than yellow and green. They want it to be different. But how many points do I think we'll get? I reckon 8. I reckon beat Derby and Stoke at home, draw with Preston, draw with Hull, probably lose at Watford because Watford away in recent years has been quite bad. There was the 3-2 last season. I was at Vicarage Road for that one, so that was great. I actually walked into the ground when Danny Bart had the ball hit his head and go in the net. So my very first sight of that game was a Danny Bart goal. I then watched, I don't know if I'm allowed to mention his name for legal reasons anymore, a Korean striker score an absolute worldie. And then Norwich he went off the pitch and Norwich capitulated. They completely fell apart. But no, I think
who was in goal that day?
No, it was George Long. Yeah, it was George Long in goal. Yes. So I want to be nice to Mr. Long. I think that at the end of the day, he's a human being. You've got to be nice, but he doesn't help himself. Bless him. No, but I'm sure he's a lovely guy. I'd like to take him out for a meal if he wouldn't mind, and sort of just see what the George Long the man is like, rather than George Long the second choice goalkeeper. But we'll move on to just one last little point before we go quick fire time and we all make a little bit more, well, not really an embarrassment of ourselves, but we get put under pressure and we see how we cope. Let's go back to Mahovo. No, and not the one you've got in your cupboard at home. No, we'll go to Mr. Mahovo, who it's amazing to think now that he has made his first start and he's slowly starting to integrate into the first team. This is a player who I think at the start of last year was playing for Ian Culverhouse's Boston United in the National League North and signed from Notts County's youth academy, came to Norwich and, well, Mr. Will Grant already knew this was going to happen because he did a whole article on it in the Pinken, and now he looks like the Oracle. So, Mr. Grant, you must be absolutely delighted with Mahovo playing at left back.
Yeah, he's been so good across the season. But what I will say is, in regards to Oracle, I think that only does deserve to be with Canaries Jerry, whatever his name is. So I'll leave that with him for now. But yeah, I'm so pleased for Lucien. Throughout the season, really, he's played as a inverted fullback and a high wide fullback as well. And I think when you've got the ability to do both of those roles really, really well, I think you've got a really good chance for the first team. But again, you've got to show really good performances whilst being very, very consistent in training as well and during games. So very, very happy for Lucien. It's quite astonishing, really. I was not expecting Lucien to be in and around the first team come August, but he has been the best player for the under 21s. It's kind of criminal that he's only got 2 assists this season because his left foot is absolutely fantastic, really. And although maybe I'm asking for too much, but I'd even maybe have put him on set pieces, to be honest, because his left foot is that good. So obviously we'll see in the future if that's the case. Jack looks to me like that, to be honest, but it feels like whenever I've seen Marcondes' corners or Nunes' corners, they haven't filled me with too much confidence as of late this season. So look, we'll see. I do know Marcondes and Nunes really, but yeah, I'm so happy for Lucien. He's so good on the ball, and he just fits what JHD wants brilliantly. And I think if he continues to play like this, I think the club bought him as like a Callum Doyle long-term replacement, and I think now you can see why. Just so much potential, and also as well, he can play CDM as centre half as well. But it's very, very important that Norwich keep him at left back because that is where he's showcased his fantastic qualities all season.
Yeah, and I think as well, it just shows that Johannes Hoftorp isn't afraid of chucking in youth and those who are maybe inexperienced with the senior game if it means that the team will benefit from it, sort of similar to what Daniel Farker did when he started playing the likes of Cantwell and Max Aarons and Jamal Lewis. Well, it's exactly the same with Johannes Hoftorp. I think a lot of us were a bit taken back when in August we saw Gabe Forsyth's name on the starting 11 for, I think it was the Blackburn game. And Gabe Forsyth, I thought, put in some really good performances when he has played for Norwich. Obviously, he's out at the minute, but you look at the development of Callum Fisher, keeping a stalwart in Jack Stacey out of the team as well. And now with Lucien Mahovo coming through, it just shows that there is once again that pathway for the youth players at Norwich to make their way into the first team and really kick on as well, and properly hold down those places in the first team. It's not sort of a one and done appearance here and there. It's a proper established spot. And even on the bench, having the likes of Uriah JJ and Elliot Miles, those players will get on the pitch sooner rather than later, I think. And especially Uriah JJ, every time I've seen him play, he's been fantastic, and there are already calls to get him in the team as well. So I think the future definitely looks bright for Norwich's youth side. I also think that it just shows that there is a clear pathway to not only making appearances for Norwich City Football Club, but having those sustained periods of being in the Norwich first team.
So, Henry,
I was going to say,
would you say the pathway is no longer blocked?
I have a feeling that was what Jack was going to say, and yeah, I don't think the pathway is blocked. I think the pathway is alive and well.
What I will say is that that wasn't my idea to record that, so I think Jack has to take some responsibility there. I did say in that video that I think the pathway is there, and I think JHT does believe in that. So, but Jack, do you want to add any more thoughts to that, mate?
All I'm saying is, we inspired him. He had completely forgotten that he had a youth academy until he saw Will and I talk about it, and then he thought, "Oh God, I've got to get down to Colney. Guys, have we got any youngsters in the under-21s?" And the coaches are like, "Yeah, we've got loads." Like, great. Can they go to Sheffield? But yeah, no, Lucien, very good game. I was very impressed. He cut out a lot of crosses. I think he was slightly culpable for Swansea's goal in the fact that he got dragged out of position and let the cross come in. I think if he'd have not followed his man and sort of followed the ball, then maybe he could have cut it out. But that's not saying he was completely at fault, because there was about 2 players in the box who could have headed it in. Yeah, Lucien, if you're watching, because of course you're watching, well done, mate. And let this be the start of a very long and prosperous career at left back.
No, I certainly hope so. It would be very good to see another one of our academy players come through and get a spot in the first team for the foreseeable. But we'll wait and see on Lucien Mahovo, or as we're going to call him from now on, do you see Mahoova? So we'll wait and see with how he gets on. But before we sign off and say goodbye, it's time for ultimate nonsense. You thought talking about Hoovers was nonsense. You wait until you have a bit of this. It's time for quick fire hot takes. If you're unfamiliar or you're a new viewer, listener to the pod, then what we do here, Jack prepares 5 questions for us every week. We have to answer them on the spot without a second thought to process what we've all said. So I'll hand over to him and I'll let him take centre stage for the final few minutes.
Before Jack starts, I will just say there is some breaking Norwich City news, because we're recording this on Sunday and there's currently a Norwich City game going on. Well, I say going on, it's just finished. And Norwich City women's 100% record in 2025 has continued. They've beaten Dulwich Hamlet 4-0 at the Nest to move up the Women's National League table. So big result for them, and hopefully, when it seemed all hope was of promotion was lost after our awful run of form in 2024, hopefully that promotion dream is still alive and well, and we can really push on now. And yeah, a 4-0 win over Dulwich Hamlet is exactly what the doctor ordered. So yeah, brilliant performance by the looks of things. I'll let you get back to it now, Jack.
Now, away from really serious, fantastic news, let's go back into complete silliness. First one. This one might be an obvious one for you all, but who is the fastest player you've ever seen play for Norwich?
Zemysław Płacheta.
Yeah, but was he actually that fast? Like, did you actually see him be that fast?
Yes.
Like,
Yes, if you look at the highlights of when we beat Huddersfield, first game of that season, watch how fast he ran from the edge of his own box into the attacking one. He was by far the quickest player.
Yeah, I would agree, but I'll go for an alternative, and I'll go for Mile Rasika.
I'm going to go for a massive curveball, but the stats don't lie. It is the big dog, Grant Hanley. Grant Hanley, the big dog himself, was so quick. And when he got his head down and was swinging his arms, there was no one faster than Grant Hanley. So for me, the big dog takes it.
Henry's just woken up half of Norwich. What was that? What? I'm sorry, all the Spotify listeners and YouTube listeners for that. What? And I love it when you go into little silly moments like your smooth operator. Moment.
That was iconic. That was iconic.
It was iconic, yes. I've lost all sense of what's going on now. Answering my own question. Fastest player. Płacheta is obviously, yeah, he's quite quick. Gary Hooper. Love you, Gary. Who would you support in an FA Cup final between Norwich and Wrexham?
Norwich. Sorry, Jordan Southgate. I love you really, but Norwich for me.
Oh, you see, my motto in life is to always support your local. But on this occasion, I'm going to go for the Yellows, I'm afraid. Sorry, Jordan Southgate.
What an absolutely ridiculous question. I'm sorry, Jack. But also, well, I am supporting my local. It's Norwich every single day of the week.
I have no association with Wrexham whatsoever, so that's a full sweep. Sorry, Yachtsman. Well, you'll never get to an FA Cup final anyway. Well, neither will Norwich, so who knows? Who knows? I might have asked this one before. I can't remember. Which former Norwich player is the best pundit?
No, you've never asked that before. But there's only one former Norwich player I can think of who is a pundit, and that's Chris Sutton. So I have to say him.
Right. So who remembers the days of Mustard TV?
Yes.
I think Paul McVeigh was on that a few times, and I always thought he spoke so fluently and was brilliant. So Paul McVeigh.
For me, I'm going to go with Cedric Anselon. I think every time he's on Radio Norfolk, he gives brilliant insight. So, yeah, for me, it's Big Cedric.
For me, it's between Dean Ashton when he does some co-coms and he does the championship stuff. He's quite insightful, but you can't look past Dion. Dion is iconic. Let's not talk about Homes Under the Hammer, but I rate Dion. Here's a controversial one. Would you rather Norwich didn't play Ipswich for the next 10 years, or we play them 4 times next season in league and both cups?
Not play them for 10 years because the unbeaten run goes for 10 more years.
But do you not enjoy the derby?
No.
Well, of course I enjoy it, but you can't lose if you don't play them.
I just hate the derby, man, and it feels like now as every year goes on to our unbeaten streak, the stakes get higher, and I just hate the thought of giving it up anytime soon. So never play those blue something ever again, or 10 years.
Oh,
I think Jack,
by the way, so
I think Jack, we're in a privileged position because you've just said to Freddie, do you not enjoy the derby? We all enjoy the derby because we win it and we're actually really good. If the tables were turned, then I don't think any of us would enjoy the derby. So yeah, I'm picking another 10 years without a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah, it's got to be another 10 years. I can't stand it. I don't like it. But I wondered if any of you were like, yeah, bang up for it. Woo, let's go at them. Yeah, I mean, How long will this run go on? I don't know, but I enjoy it whilst we have it. Which linked player did you fall in love with only for the rumour to be false?
Oh, what a question. What a question, because there's been a lot of really good ones.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think a 9-year-old Freddie will ever get over the fact we didn't sign Kalidou Koulibaly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what? I absolutely adore my Barclaysman, and I've got a really good vibe for Premier League forwards. Leonardo Ochoa, I wish you were at Norwich, mate. Oh, what an absolute baller, mate.
What a player. I think in terms of just because of how iconic it is, has to be Fabio Quagliarella. Just seeing him on like FIFA 13 for Juventus, it'd be like, yeah, we want a bit of that Juventus cake, and the fact that we never got it, I feel, yeah. So probably him.
Yeah, Quags was the one that I thought, we were destined to sign him. Last in the summer, I think we were linked with what's his name, Rainier, the Real Madrid kid who then went on to Girona. I kind of vibed him. I kind of thought, a former Real Madrid player, well, actual Real Madrid player playing for Norwich. I think in the Premier League season, I think it was 15-16, I want to say. I think it was Mattia Destro from like Roma or Bologna or somewhere. We were linked to him, and I thought he would be, the next star. But
he went to West Ham, didn't he? And then flopped there, I'm pretty sure.
Did he?
He definitely went to a Premier League team. I'm pretty sure it was West Ham when they were just signing random strikers from the Italian leagues and like the Croatian leagues and stuff like that. He was sort of in the same era as like when they signed that Mladen Petric.
Oh yeah, I remember him.
Again, I know these people just from FIFA, but
yeah. So I usually have 5, and that's your 5. But because you two weren't here for the other podcast, obviously Will and Henry, I'll do my last question that I gave to Freddie, which was Webber or McNally?
I think Webber.
I think as a person, David McNally, in terms of my enjoyment of football, probably Stuart Webber, because although the times were dire towards the latter parts, those 2 seasons he gave us, and even the first season in the Premier League, I know it resulted in relegation, but they were some great times to be a Norwich fan. And I've mentioned that season just because of the FA Cup run. I stand by it. We would have reached Wembley had COVID had not happened against Manchester United. So, yeah, I think just for that period alone, Stuart Webber. But no, as a person, 100% David McNally.
There you go. Well, there's my quickfire hot takes. If any of you listening have any thoughts and opinions on these quickfire hot takes, let us know down below in the comments. And we are looking for a sponsor. So if you want to sponsor the MyFootballWriter podcast, I say it every week, and no one wants to sponsor us. Please, if Hoover want to sponsor us, the official vacuuming partner of the MyFootballWriter podcast, we'd be bang up for that.
No, we would. We certainly would. But Jack, I can't help but not skip over your linked player answer. Why was Paul Mullin not the answer? You seem to love him, and you seem.
It's because we were never linked with Paul Mullin. Jack just plucked it out of his backside.
No, he did. In all fairness, no, and well, we've been pulling a lot of nonsense out of our backside this entire hour, as we usually do every week. But we hope you've enjoyed it, and that you come back next time for the next episode of the MFW podcast. It's been good fun, and I hope it's been just as much fun for you listening as us sat here doing it. I've been Freddie Humphrey Wakefield. They have been the excellent, as always, Will Grant, Henry Miller, and Jack Wright. It's goodbye for now, and we see you in the next video of ours on the channel or for the next podcast on Spotify.